Hello, and here we are in Forza Horizon 5. So yeah, this is my first video uploading any content like this, and it's a bit of a new thing for me. I've never really done anything like this before. I used to live stream every so often on the PS4 way back in the day when that came out, and there was some like live streaming capabilities on there. But this is obviously a pre-record, and this is a recorded video. And my intention for this channel really is to just record some gameplay, look at some benchmarks, talk about the games quite casually, nothing too over the top, maybe have some fun with it. And yeah, whoever watches it, I hope they enjoy it and I hope they like the video. So yeah, this is Forza Horizon 5. I guess we'll start with a few thoughts on this game. So this game for me is a bit of a comfort game. It's one of those things that you can sort of dip in and out of quite often as you deem fit. And what I really like about this game is the visuals and the atmosphere. So I got into the Forza Horizon series with Forza Horizon 4, and I first played that on the Xbox Series or the Xbox One, I think. And I love the atmosphere. It was all based in the UK, and I'm of course UK based, and it had this really amazing drum and bass soundtrack that was just amazing to listen to. And so when Forza Horizon 5 came out, I was quite hyped about it, and I was quite interested in giving it a go. And so now obviously it came out a few years ago, and now it's on PlayStation 5, which I have also tried, which runs actually really well and has some really nice DualSense features. But now of course I've been playing it on PC, and I've been playing it predominantly on PC for quite some time now. As you can see, it's in the ultra-wide format. So the ultra-wide display that I have is the LG 45 OLED GX950, which has a maximum refresh rate of 165 Hertz. And this game, running at max settings, all things cranked up to the max, and with some ray tracing on there as well, is getting pretty close to the max FPS. Of course, I am running OBS in the background to get some sort of recording functionality, and that's given me this really nice performance, and it's pretty much at the top end of my display. And of course, we're just in the open world here, so it's nothing too intensive. What we'll do is we'll try some races out in just a moment, just to get a feel as to how that runs. But as you can see, the FPS is really high. Now, the resolution of this screen is 5120 by 2160, so that's actually over what you would expect for a 16 by 9 4K screen. And the immersion factor on this is just incredible. I mean, it's a 45-inch screen, and I'm sat roughly around 1.5 foot away from it. I'm playing with a controller here, and basically my periphery is taken up by the whole screen, and it looks fantastic. It runs absolutely amazingly, and you know, when you've got big screens like this, it's really important that you have that pin sharpness to it. And DLSS obviously gives you that, and this is running with the transform model. It's been all updated within the back end, and it looks amazing. The one thing I will say about this though is that randomly, every time you start the game, you have to get through this sort of compilation, the shader compilation step, which happens quite often as you start the game, even though you're running it on the same hardware. And I don't know if that's because the saves transfer through from sort of like your Steam Deck or your ROG Allies onto the PC. So it's not an actual separate save. It saves all the settings, everything else. So that can be quite annoying, and that's probably why the shaders need to recomp again. So as you can see, 5120 by 2160, we're at 98% utilization at around 480 watts. Now I should tell you that I'm doing an undervolt here, so I'm slightly undervolted, just to get some better temperatures and to get some better power draw out of the GPU. And which I should of course reveal is a 5090 and a 7800 X3D CPU, which has got this game running flawlessly, and that's something you would expect. This game is extremely well optimized. Of course, I don't have the 9800 X3D, not quite yet. I didn't really see the point in upgrading. Maybe it is worth upgrading. Maybe that's something worth mentioning down in the comments, if anybody does actually comment on this video. But I thought I'd show it off, show you what it looks like in ultra-wide, and yeah, now we'll have a quick look at some of the settings. So going into the settings here, you'll see under video what we're doing in terms of resolution. I've turned HDR off, doesn't seem to work well with the capture, but yeah, we'll work, as I say, 5120 by 2160 unlocked FPS, of course, because we want to hit those good numbers up there, and we want it to be quite variable as well for that input latency. Also, yep, oh sorry, just in here, down here, you can see DLSS is on, and remember I mentioned it was the transformer model, which actually looks a lot better than the old one. I can't remember what it was called, the legacy version, and I like to bump the sharpness up just a little bit, just to show that, you know, on this screen it can look very sharp. Some people don't like the matte finish of this, of the screen itself, but I actually prefer it. I much prefer it to the glossy finish, because yeah, I don't really like looking at my own reflection on dark screens, etc., that seem to pop up every so often. Not that I don't like my own reflection, but yeah, it can be a bit distracting. No frame gen, none needed here, and DLLA is off. So looking at the graphics settings, jumping down here to the graphics, you can see that we're on maxed out. We're 100% maxed out, and we have ray tracing quality up to extreme as well. Right, so we are now loading into a race, and obviously we've got to load up our Lamborghini. Who doesn't want to drive one of these absolute beasts? Actually, probably one of my dream cars. But anyway, yes, so we're going to load into this race here. It's one of the sprints quite early on in the game, I think, and we'll see what the performance is like here. We're using a slightly different view, a little bit more zoomed out so that we can see a bit more of the periphery, and hopefully that will give us a good indication as to what things are like when you've got multiple cars on the screen at once. There's some popular YouTubers that you might see in the names here. I do know a couple that I've added as my friends, not close friends, but you know, sort of catch up every now and then. And I'm not particularly amazing at this game, but you know, it's good fun. It's a casual racer. It keeps you on your toes. You don't have to think about it too much. It's not like a GT7 or one of these, you know, super hardcore ones like Assetto Corsa, which really, you know, you have to have the full racing sim setup. This is more chill, you know, you've got the racing lines going here. It means that you can sort of chill, you can sort of like really relax and play this game. Gaming should be fun, should be a relaxing activity. You should never feel like a chore. And sometimes, you know, when you get really stuck into some of these games, you get really sort of like stuck into the hardcore element of things, as I just smash into the cars there. And it can be a little bit of a chore. I found that recently, especially at my ripe old age, which is, well, we don't need to talk about that. Maybe one day I'll reveal that. But anyway, yes, so going back to this, so straight into first place here, and, you know, just absolutely smashing it. You can see the performance is very solid. We're looking at, you know, roughly around the absolute max of the screen, which is at 165 FPS. Now, you know, we can try this now at native as well, so that would be quite interesting. So let's jump into the settings and go into our DLSS settings and turn it off. Now, I think this does actually... Okay, I thought it activated some of the native TAA, but you can see now we've gone into native, and it's actually still pretty close to maxing out the entire FPS of the screen, and it does look a little bit smoother. Now, I know that on YouTube you can only see 60 FPS, so there might be a bit of a... Oh, we're seeing a few dips here, so as we go into this crowded area, sort of hitting that 130, 140 FPS, but it still looks extremely smooth on my screen. I'd say it's probably even smoother than it looked at 165, but that's probably just a... Oh, look at that, straight into the wall. Imagine that, 200 miles an hour. Whew. Talking about a 200 grand car or something there. But it does look sharper. I mean, there's just this little sort of like fringing that goes on some of the edges. It looks just a little bit more sort of rustic, I suppose is the word. A little bit sharper, a little bit more frazzled around the edges. So we're hitting that 130 frames per second now, which is a bit more consistent now that we've been through it. We're just hitting the finish line here. So let me just quickly switch back over to DLSS and let me just show you It's on auto. No, we don't want that. And we don't want anything lower than quality. But you'll see as we jump back in, it just has an ever so slight haze on it. And of course, the FPS bumps all the way back up to around that 160 mode area, sorry. So yeah, you can see between native and between DLSS, there is quite a bit of a difference. You'd see sort of like roughly 20 FPS drop. Let's now we're out of the race. Let's sort of do that again. See what that looks like again. You can see there's a frame rate limit there that's introduced when you change some of these settings, which can be quite annoying. That might be actually, yeah, okay, so we're back in. We've gone native again, and yes, there is something about it. I don't know how to describe it, really. I think it's something you have to really see in person, and it seems to be this game specifically, because I've noticed this a few times when I've done Moonlight streaming to my Steam Deck. You can kind of see that it really suffers from any kind of image processing. The native look on this game is so much better than the actual DLSS upscaling, and I don't really know how to describe it. I've noticed this in a few games. The way I describe it is it has a bit more depth to it. It looks a little bit more, I don't know, there's something more there. If I had to, how do I describe that? It's almost like you're using an like an ink pen versus like a crayon. There's more definition there, that's for sure. But anyway, I digress. Right, so we're now loading into another race here. This is now going to be a dirt race. And yeah, we're using a different car now. I love the colours on this car, especially on this OLED screen. If you see it in person, it looks incredible. The colours really pop. It's a beautiful screen. I'd highly recommend it to anybody that's interested in ultra-wide and OLED screens. It makes all the difference. I previously had an LG C2 42-inch TV that I was using as a screen, and as soon as I got the ultra-wide, I was blown away. So yeah, now we're in a dirt race. Let's just cycle through the cameras here. Okay, good. This is the one that we want. So yeah, we're sort of running at 130 FPS now, which is at the native resolution again. So you can see as I sort of, I think I've chosen the wrong car for this race. You can sort of see that it's still performing really well, especially with like sort of a dense track. There's lots of crowds everywhere around this one. So 130 FPS is nothing to scoff at, especially when you consider somewhere where I came from, which was basically console gaming on the PS5. This game only runs at 60 frames per second, which looks great on the PS5. And you know, it's V-synced as well, so it does look extremely smooth when you're playing. But on PC, it's just a different beast, you know, when you've got a big widescreen screen and then you're running it at over 100 FPS, it just makes all the difference. Also, we're almost getting up to 160 FPS now, and it must be the crowds here that really make the big difference over there near the start of the race. So what I'll do in just a moment, once we hit the second lap, is we'll stick it onto the quality DLSS performance mode, and we'll see what sort of differences we get here. So another thing to really note here really is the power draw at 430 watts, which is obviously extremely high, and at 98% utilization. At 76 degrees, I believe is fairly okay for the 5090. It is a Founders Edition, so I think that's pretty good. I have done a bit of research into temps on this car before, and I believe that that's pretty good. You know, you sort of want to be hovering around that 70, mid 70. I didn't really see many people talking about it, but I believe that's sort of what you should be aiming for. And you can see the CPU is at 38% utilization and 77 degrees. So, you know, in my eyes, that's pretty good. I do believe that the 7800 X3D can run at up to 90 degrees. Not that I'd want to do that, but I believe that that is perfectly fine for this CPU. So let's quickly switch over to the settings and get some of that DLSS going. So let's do that here. Let's turn that on. We want quality mode on. Let's turn that off. We don't want the FPS limit on there because I just want to be able to see, you know, how it runs without any kind of limits from the game itself. So yeah, here we go. We've bumped that up already. So we've gone to 160 FPS. So that looks pretty good. And you know, as an overall image, it looks brilliant. It's really up to really the user, because the one thing I've noticed coming over to PC gaming is the ability to turn all things like anti-aliasing off. And for me, I don't really like anti-aliasing on any games. I think it creates a slight haze. It makes things look slightly fuzzy to me. And I'm somebody that really wants that pristine, sharp image quality. That's obviously something that you pay for when you buy one of these high-end gaming PCs. And to sort of obscure that with a bit of a, you know, some sort of upscaling and some sort of anti-aliasing, it doesn't really make much sense to me. I have to say though, DLSS on the quality mode is very, very good, especially the transformer model. And looking at it now, you know, you're playing the game, it's more about the feel of it than the actual the detailed look at it, but it does look good, you know, it does look very good. We're in the final lap here, so let's just swap straight on back to the oh, I'm in the wrong one. Let's swap back to native and see. Oh, that's DLAA, sorry. Actually, do you know what? Let's give DLAA a go. Let's give that a go for the last lap here and see what that looks like. Because obviously what DLAA is doing is it's rendering at a higher resolution to then provide a anti-aliasing solution. So therefore, we should see something a bit sharper. Will I notice the difference? Well, almost straight into the wall. Well, I guess I do. What this kind of does for me is it kind of mixes the sharpness of native, but it gives a little bit less of that fringing effect that I was talking about in the earlier part of the video. And look at those frames. We're at 158 frames per second, which is excellent. And the wattage has come right down. So we're at 350 watts, 74% utilization, and 71 degrees. That's excellent. That's how I would probably play the game from now on. Just do a little rewind there because it doesn't like you missing those markers. And the CPU, of course, has dropped way down to 25% utilization, it's pulling 45, 50 watts and 73 degrees. So this is really, you know, you're getting over double the FPS of a PS5 and only 100 watts more utilization. I say only, that's still quite a bit. And the temperatures are very low. So this might, DLAA might be the way to go. So yeah, I think this might be the way to play it. Anyway, I think we'll leave it there after this lap, as I come close to the end and embarrass myself once more. Yeah, 7th, not very good. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, then please feel free to leave a comment. Of course, like, subscribe, all those good things. I'll try and do a few more of these videos in the future. I'll try and benchmark a few more popular games, and hopefully you get something from this video. So thanks for watching, and hopefully see you guys all very soon.